and creativity. What does it mean to try and be faithful and do art? And I don't want to say too much about that yet, but I've got some lovely panelists here today. Nate Allen is one of our guests. You probably, if you've been to Audiofeed, know anything about Audiofeed, you already know Nate, Destroy Nate Allen, Good Saint Nathaniel. He is also a husband and a father. We celebrate that as well. And in his day job is a licensed therapist. We've also got Joel Goodwin. Anybody see Diaspora AD yesterday? So you know a little bit about Joel's worlds coming together there. Fusing, on his creative side, fusing traditional African-American gospel music and Negro spirituals with extreme metal. And I don't know if anybody has done it in the way that they're doing it, so I'm really pleased to have him involved in his day job. He's a music minister in Louisville, Kentucky, so thanks for being with us. Also a husband to the lovely Tiffany. And on the end, we have visual artist Christina Harp, originally from Cincinnati now, living in Indianapolis with her husband, a.k.a. me. And she has a day job but does art as often as she can in her spare time. So, we're just going to go right in. I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for questions if possible, but it depends on how windy these guys are. Andrew, if I give you the signal, cut their mics off, that means they're talking too long. Alright? Okay. We'll start basic. So anybody who wants to jump in, where do you find inspiration for your art, and what role, if any, does your faith play in your art and in your creative process? Who wants to go first?
Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, or?
Let's go on the line. We start with you.
I want to hear from him.
Which one? Who do you want to hear from?
Him. First.
Which one is going to know? Just
you.
Mine is pretty short in that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about faith and art because it's like, to me, the same thing. And like worship and art, like it's not, like it's all the same. So I don't spend a lot of like energy going, what does my faith and my art look like? It just is. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. That's a total 4 on the Enneagram, if anybody doesn't know. So I love mystery. I don't like to follow the rules. And so that's probably my short answer to that. I have faith. I wrestle with faith. I live with faith sometimes, or faithlessness, or struggle with all of it. But it's, so I don't spend a lot of time trying to articulate it in other ways. But yeah. Music is super inspirational for me, so if I have a feeling that I want to evoke, or like, sometimes I'll just give myself over to a feeling, like nostalgia or grief or whatever, and I'll put like a playlist together. If I'm going to paint or do something, I'll like prep like a playlist. So I would say music is super important, and then color, like I love color, I breathe color, it makes me so happy. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome, thank you.
all right. Yeah, check. Check. Yeah, what's up? All right, cool. All right, so the first one, what influences art for me is life, just overall. You know, there's a pastor that I used to work with. He used to say, "God is creator, therefore I am creative." And that has stuck with me. And as a musician that works in just about every genre of music known to man. I mean, I've literally done recordings. Like my day job is basically doing sessions for people. You know, like recording on other people's albums. I've been on a lot of people's albums, and it's just, and also of course my own stuff. And it's cool to express myself in like different ways. I mean, you know, sometimes it might be like house music. You might want to like dance or whatever. Or you know, extreme metal which is probably my favorite. There's many ways to express myself in that genre, or jazz, you know, or blues, or you know, whatever. But yeah, I just see it as different moods, and I think that traveling, like really just driving, sometimes by myself, you know, and different people, you know, the band or my wife or whoever, and you know, traveling, it influences, you know, just ideas. I probably write most of the music that I write while I'm driving, just driving. So that's really cool. And as far as faith, I think that knowing God, knowing seeing God's hand in so much of what we do. It just, that in and of itself influences a lot of what I do. Now, I don't think that, like, I don't look at a creation that I do in any kind of art, like whatever it be, whether it be drawing or painting or writing songs, just be like, okay, how can I put God in this? Because God is everywhere. People tend to, and with me working in a church, it's like, not working, not just one church, 3 churches, like a lot of times people think of God and, we come to God in a sanctuary, but I definitely have a very holistic and universal view of God. It's like, just like David said, like, if I'm in heaven, you're there. If I'm in hell, you're there. So like God is everywhere. So there are always ways to find God in everything.
All right. Awesome.
For inspiration, one of my favorite ways is just written word. So if I see, like, say, words on a wall back there, I can just have a song pop into my head. That's something I like to do. In general, songwriting feels just kind of a bit mysterious into that I feel like a song catcher. So I'll just be walking around and a melody pops into my head, and it's pretty much done. Like, if I can spend 10 minutes with it, the song's written. Then I'll look at some words and be like, oh, there's something that makes sense that I read on the street sign. It feels really mysterious to me. As far as faith, I feel like faith is something that, like, Christianity, it's not only something that is a really big influence on how I create because I grew up in that world, but it's also something I kind of rotate around. So, like, in some ways, that's always a factor. Even if it's like, this song's actually not about, say, my faith experience. Like, it's just a factor. It's like, oh, like, that's a language I know. That's something that I think about. It's just one of the cultural references I have. So.
Yeah, we're going to delve in deeper into some of that stuff in a moment.